Welcome Welcome everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night webinar. Tonight we have an amazing guest here. We have Noah St. John, who is the inventor of affirmations. Now you guys have probably heard me talk about affirmations over the years because I really love what it does. You're asking a different empowering questions, and I'll let Noah talk more about it because we have the inventor of affirmations on there tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and just give him a short little introduction here of Noah. Now, Noah is known as the performance and profit mentor, and he's famous for helping busy people boost performance and profits without sacrificing their values or their free time. Now, Noah is the author of 10 books that have been translated into 12 languages, including his latest bestseller, The Book of Affirmations. And that book is published by Hay House. I've got two of Noah's books. I've got that one and The Secret Code of Success. Now, according to Stephen Covey, Noah St. John's work is about discovering within ourselves what we should have known all along. Now, we are truly powerful beings with unlimited potential. Noah delivers keynote speeches, online programs, and live events that have been called the only training that fixes every other training. So when you're done with the other training, then you go and see Noah. And you can get Noah's new ebook, Get Your Foot Off the Brake, free at Noah St. John. Welcome, Noah St. John, welcome Ben Mooney, who's here with us on our regular Thursday night webinars every single Thursday night here. So welcome, everybody. Welcome all the guests.
Great to be here.
Welcome, guys and gals.
Thank you very much.
Now, Noah, we had you on this. We had you on this morning. Actually, we actually had you on my morning webinar. And so I don't know if you want to do the same thing. If you want me to just start asking you some questions, or you want to just start talking about what you do. How would you like to do it today?
Well, I love when you ask me questions because then we can. And of course, I'm happy to take questions from folks on the program tonight, so we can do all of that. Sure, go ahead, fire away.
Let's talk about the affirmations. I think that's the thing which you're probably most noted for is what is it? You've written this book about affirmations. What are affirmations, and how did you discover them? How did you invent that?
So just so everyone knows, we are using a new word here. It's a word that I invented called affirmations. Now, of course, we're all familiar with affirmations, the word that we're all used to. Now, the word affirmations is about a statement, something that we're all used to. And I think somebody's saying that we're having a big echo problem here. I'm not sure whose end that is on.
We are.
Yeah, whose end is that on?
I don't know. I'm going to mute myself, and Bob, you might want to mute you while Noah's talking. So I'm going to go ahead and mute.
All right, so let's see. How's that? Did that help, or are we still getting an echo? I think that helped. All right, so anyway, so basically an affirmation, of course, is a statement of something that you want to be true. So like, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am successful. The problem is we say these positive statements, and a lot of times we don't believe it. Yeah. So now we're still getting an echo. So Bob, that might be on your end. You might want to either turn down your volume or mute a little bit.
Let me mute myself here.
Check, check, check. How's that sound? Aha! And here I am. Not trying to dominate the conversation here, but when you have that echo, sometimes it can be a little disconcerting for folks. So anyway, so of course an affirmation is a statement of something you want to be true. I'm happy, I'm wealthy. And we say these positive statements over and over again. The problem is a lot of times we don't believe the statements. And so many years ago, I was very frustrated by this because I've been reading these books on self-help and personal growth, and I really wanted to get better. I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. I know that sounds like a total cliche, but it's really true. I grew up in a town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which just happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England, but my family was dirt poor. I mean that literally. We lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents lost to foreclosure. So my point is, I saw all this great wealth and success, abundance all around me right in my community, and yet my family was poor. And so I grew up with this poverty consciousness, and so it was really annoying because my parents worked really hard. And I said, how come some people work really hard and don't get ahead, and others don't seem to work as hard and are very successful. So I went on a long journey to try to learn the secrets of success. Nobody in my family, of course, could teach me or help me or coach me or mentor me. And so I just was reading books, reading lots of books, going to the library and just studying, and really trying to apply what these books would say. And so many years later, in 1997, that's when I found myself as a 30-year-old college student. I was living in this tiny dorm room that was so small, if you put your arms out to both sides in the middle of the room, you could touch the walls on both sides. That's how tiny this room was that I was living in, and all of my worldly possessions were in this tiny little room. So here I was, 30 years old, back in college, divorced with maybe $800 to my name, and yet I've been reading all these books, doing all this studying. So it was very, very frustrating. And one night, I remember this vividly. It was April 1997, and I sat there on my little room, and I was looking around the room, and I realized that I had all these little yellow pieces of paper that I'd written from yellow legal pads. And for those of you who are too young to remember what a legal pad is, it's a thing you write on. Anyway, so the point is, I'd written, just like the books told me to do, these statements: I am happy, I am wealthy, I am rich, I'm successful. And the only problem was I wasn't any of these things, right? So I'm looking around my tiny little room, looking at all these statements and going, wow, now I feel even worse because, not only am I not any of these things, I've been working so hard, and I still wasn't any of those things. So now I felt 10 times worse. So it was really, really frustrating. So anyway, the next morning I got in the shower just like any other morning, but in that particular morning, all these thoughts were rattling around in my head. How come I've been using all these statements? How come I've been doing everything they told me to do, and yet I don't have anything that I want? My life is not successful. I don't have money. I don't have a girlfriend. And, what is wrong with this picture? So, do you ever get those ideas in the shower? You're in the shower and you get those aha moments, those epiphanies in the shower. Well, that's exactly what happened to me. And on this particular morning, April 24th, 1997, I was thinking about all of these things, all these thoughts rattling around in my head, and I started to think about it. And I said, well, what are we really talking about here? Well, we're talking about beliefs. And I said, well, because, if you want to change your life, you have to change your beliefs. I mean, that's what every book says, and, they're right. I mean, if you want to have more money, if you want to, lose weight, if you want to find love, if you want to have the right relationships, whatever it is that you don't have right now, one of the things we have to do, one of the first places we have to start is look at our beliefs. So I said, well, okay, I know that's right. That's got to be right. But what is a belief? And I said, well, a belief is a thought. And I said, all right, well, what is thought? What is human thought? And the more that I thought about that question, I realized that human thought is the process of asking and searching for answers to questions. Now, let me prove this to you. I'll prove this to everybody. And I've done this little experiment. It's this little fun game or experiment that I do. I've done it all around the world with thousands and thousands of people in my seminars and live events. So what I do is I say, all right, now, everybody, I'm going to ask a question, and I want you to see what happens. All right? So the question is, why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue? Now, when I ask that question, what immediately happened in your brain? Your mind, your brain, starts to search for the answer, right? You immediately start to search for the answer, right? Basically, your brain is like a computer or like a Google search, right? You're going on Google and you're searching, or your computer searching its files, right? That's what our brain is like. So your brain is basically going, when you ask a question, why is the sky blue? Your brain's going, well, let's see, the sky's blue because, I don't know, but it's looking, it's automatically searching for the answer. So I said, well, wait a second. Now, if the human mind is automatically searching for answers to questions, why are we going around making statements that we don't believe? Because the problem isn't with the statement. The problem is we don't believe the statement. Right? So let me give you an example. So let's take a classic affirmation. And I've done this experiment too in my seminars and live events all around the world. So I say to the folks, and I'll try it here too. So I say, all right, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to say an affirmation, and I want you to see what happens. All right, so take a classic affirmation, one we've been taught for decades, which is I am rich. Right? You say, I am rich. And I say, all right, everybody say it together. I am rich. Right? Everybody shouts it out. I am rich. And then guess what they do? They start laughing. Everybody starts laughing. Right? Because why? Because your brain's saying, no, you're not. Right? It's what I call in my book of affirmations the yeah, right response. Because your brain is basically going, yeah, right. Right? I don't believe you. You're saying this thing, but I don't believe it. Now, we want to believe it, but we just don't believe it to be true. Right? Now, the traditional teachers, the traditional success teachers, and all those books and all those other seminars, what they said to do was, well, okay, if you don't believe your statement, just repeat it 1,000 million billion kajillion times until you believe it someday. Right? Haven't we heard all this before? We've heard this a million times, haven't we? And, you know, for some people it works just fine. Some people say, oh, I'm rich, and fine. But there have been numerous scientific studies that have actually shown that for the average person, for most of us, like 75% of people, when they say these positive statements or affirmations, it actually makes you feel worse than before because you're more frustrated because you're not the thing, right? Just like the example that I gave you about myself. That's why I like to share that example, to know that if you're feeling that way, if you're experiencing that, you're not alone. In fact, this is what I hear so many times from people all around the world, that they had an experience just like mine. So my point is that we say these positive statements and we want to believe them, but we just don't believe them, and we're actually more frustrated saying it than before. So in the shower that morning, in April 1997, going back to the shower, it was a very long shower, by the way. So all these thoughts happened in just a few moments in my head. And I said, well, now wait a second. Now, we have this statement or affirmation, I am rich. And your brain says, yeah, right. So if that's the statement, what would the question be? Why am I so rich? Why am I so rich? Now, when you ask that question of your brain, what instantly starts to happen in your brain? Your brain starts to search for the answer, right? Just like when I asked you, why is the sky blue? Your brain automatically starts to search for the answer. So I said, wait a second. What if, instead of saying a statement we don't believe, what if we were to just cut out the middleman and go right to the question, which is what your brain's doing anyway? So I said, well, wow, man, I think that might just work. And in fact, I said, I think I just invented something. And so I jumped out of the shower, I ran to my computer, and I started writing and writing and writing, and I started, oh my God, I wrote these empowering questions, and I said, and I could feel the difference in my body and my brain instantly, and I said, oh my God, I think I just invented something. And so I had to give it a name, and the name that I gave it is, as Bob said earlier, you know, the name of my new book, and now I've written 10 books about it, is afformations, A-F-F-O-R-M-A-T-I-O-N-S, afformations, not affirmations. Now, just to kind of finish the story, a lot of people ask me, where did the word affirmations come from, right? Because it's a new word for most of us. I mean, it's a word that I invented. And so what I explained to them is that the word affirmation, you know, the one we're all used to, the positive statements, comes from the Latin word firmare, which means to make firm. Now, the word affirmations that I invented, and by the way, it's perfectly legitimate to invent a new word when you have a new way of looking at the universe or a new technology. Isn't it true we often need a new word to describe it? I mean, here we are on a webinar, on using Google, on the internet, with software, right? All of these words are very, very new words in terms of human history. They've only been around a short period of time. Now, of course, we use them every day. Well, it's a new technology. We needed a new word. Well, what I'm sharing with you here and what I share in my books is a new technology of the mind. And so the new technology of the mind, the word afformations comes from the word formare, the Latin word formare, F-O-R-M-A-R-E, which means to form or give shape to. So the question that I often ask my audiences and my coaching clients is, what if you're making something firm, but it's in the wrong form? That's called forming a life you didn't want. For example, if you're asking disempowering questions, why am I so broke? Why am I so fat? Why can't I do anything right? How come I never get the breaks? How come so-and-so has more money than me? Why is there more month left at the end of the money? Right? You ask lousy questions, and what do you get? Lousy answers. And that creates a lousy life. So standing there in the shower all those years ago, I said, what if instead of asking lousy questions that lead to lousy answers and create a lousy life, what if we flipped the whole thing on its head, started asking empowering questions that lead to phenomenal answers and create a wonderful life? And so that's how I invented this new technology of the mind, which we now call affirmations, which I named affirmations. Now we have all the books and programs and so forth. And again, just to kind of finish the story, now we've had people who have, doubled or tripled their income. We've had people find the love of their lives. We've had people save their marriages, overcome addiction, quit smoking, lose weight, get healthier. We've had kids now use affirmations, getting better grades, feeling more confident about themselves, boosting their self-esteem. So people in over 120 countries now are using affirmations. What we call ourselves, people who use affirmations, we call ourselves afformers. And we, are inviting all of you tonight to join the affirmations revolution and join the family of afformers all around the world.
Okay, I think I'm making it. Is there any more echo? Can you hear an echo, anybody?
Not when you talk, but I think when I talk.
But I think that is brilliant. Now, can I ask you? That was back in 1997 when that happened. What did you do? Like, how long did it take you before you put your first book together, or when things started coming together for you?
Well, what's funny is 1997 was my year for epiphanies, because I had that epiphany about affirmations, as I mentioned, in April 1997. And I wrote it all down, and then I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't know what to do. I mean, this could change the world, but I don't know anything about business, marketing, sales, owning a business. I mean, now remember, 1997, this was long before social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I mean, there was none of that. Blogging. I mean, Google was actually about 7 months old at the time. That's how long ago it was in internet years. So it was a long, long time ago. And so I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this. I'm a college student. I mean, what am I supposed to do? So I kind of just didn't know what to do with it. And then in October of 1997, October 20th, I had the second epiphany that changed my life when I discovered what causes people to stop themselves from success, what actually causes self-sabotage. And it is a condition that I named called success anorexia. People around the world are actually starving themselves of success. And so once I had that epiphany and I put it together with the first one, that's when I knew my teaching had really just come together and been born. As I mentioned, I've been studying all these things for so many years, and then it all just coalesced into those two simple but very powerful and life-changing ideas. Then, starting in October 1997, I wrote my first book. I self-published it on the internet starting in 1998, so my company officially launched in my college dorm room January 1st, 1998. I started selling my books and online programs at that time, and then I met Jack Canfield from the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, because he and I both happened to go not to the same college, but in the same college town, Northampton, Massachusetts, and he was in town winning an award. I met Jack Canfield, showed him my self-published manuscript, and he looked at it. It was called Permission to Succeed, which is still the name of my first book. And he looked at it and he said, wow, this looks really cool. I want to share this with my publisher. So he ended up sharing it with the publisher of Chicken Soup, and the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher called me 8 weeks later and offered me a book contract. So that's how the whole thing got started. And so my first book was published by the Chicken Soup people in 1999. It was called Permission to Succeed. And then that led to all my other books, including the ones you mentioned, The Secret Code of Success, which was published by HarperCollins, and my new book of affirmations published by Hay House. So it all started a long, long time ago.
That's an incredible story. No, I never heard that part of the story before. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I often don't get to share it, so I'm glad I get to share it with you in this venue. It's nice.
We dug a little bit deeper. No,
Yeah.
that's cool. No, that's really awesome to hear that. Now you say you're from New England.
I am from the way. I grew up in Kennebunkport, Maine. I went to college twice. I went to college first in Boston and then in Northampton, Massachusetts.
Do you mind if I ask what brought you to Cleveland?
This is another great story. Okay, so I was in New England, and I've moved all over the country. I mean, I've literally, a long time ago, I drove across the country in my 1977 Buick Riviera from Maine to California. So I drove the entire 3,000 plus miles. So, you know, I've lived all around the United States. I was back in New England. I'd been in business for 10 years, and because I was very naive, I trusted a lot of the wrong people, and I wasn't listening to my gut, my own inner knowing. I was listening to a lot of people who were very loud and very persuasive, so I ended up making a lot of very poor decisions, and I ended up $40,000 in credit card debt working out of my parents' basement. That was after 10 years in business, so it was really bad. So in 2007, I was working out of my parents' basement, $40,000 in debt, and I said, something's got to change here because, I mean, I just don't know. I'm listening to all the wrong people, and I'm not listening to myself. And so I was talking with a friend of mine who lives here in Northeast Ohio, and we're both speakers. He's a colleague of mine. We had both spoken at an event in Las Vegas. And he said, hey, Noah, why don't you move out here? It'll be fun. And I said, Ohio, fun. How? I'm not getting this. I'm not seeing it. But, you know, honestly, I'm like, well, I don't know. There was just a gut feeling. I just had this feeling. I can't explain it. It was just a gut instinct. And sure enough, I just packed all my stuff, you know, in my Toyota Camry. Now I had to upgrade it to a Toyota Camry, and drove across the country. Drove about 1,000 miles. Ended up here in Ohio, and I'm sitting there going, what am I doing here? This is nuts. I don't know anybody but this one person, my friend Scott. I'm like, I said to God, what am I doing here? This is insane. I wanted to go someplace warm, like Florida, you know. I'm going from Maine to Ohio. I wanted to be warm. Anyway, so I'm sitting here going, what am I doing? This is nuts. Well, what happened was my friend Scott, about weeks since when I moved here, introduced me to his friend named Phil, and about a week after that, Phil introduced me to this gorgeous blonde named Babette, who I met, and we fell in love, and now she's my beautiful wife. And so, hey, I always say I love Ohio. It's been very good to me.
Awesome story, incredible. Yeah, I've met your beautiful wife as well too. I mean, gorgeous lady, so sweet, that's a wonderful.
She's just as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. And if you see her, when you see her in person or even pictures, you see, wow, she's very beautiful on the outside. So it's pretty awesome.
You know, I don't know if I told this story this morning, but I want to tell just a short little story here. I had a radio program. Are we having an echo? Can anybody tell if we're having an echo?
I don't think so. I think we're good now.
But I had a radio program a couple of years ago. It was internet-based, called The Incredible Breakthrough Show. It was all about people who've had something bad happen to them and then have risen up and did something cool. So I heard Noah on Cindy Kubika's radio program one day. I was listening to her. I used to listen to her a real lot. I heard about you, so I bought your book, and I bought some of the tape program, the
I-forms?
I-form, I bought those. So I became like a big fan of Noah. So then I ended up contacting Noah, and I said, Noah, I would love it if you would go on my radio show because people would love to hear about this. And so he gracefully accepted. He said, yeah, no, I'll do this. Cool. I mean, I'm all nervous. This was just a call-in thing, just a telephone thing. But I was like all excited. I got Noah on there. And it was we did a recording. We did the whole thing just like we're doing here. But Noah went on, gave his big presentation for an hour, and then everything was fine. And then Noah had sent me some tickets. He was going to be speaking in San Diego, where I live. 2 tickets to an event. The event cost money, so he gave me these 2 free tickets, and he was going to be on stage doing a little presentation. I went to meet him, but before I did, when I went to put the thing up online, I noticed I had lost a broadcast. Somehow I forgot to press record or something like that, and now I had to go to this event. I had to meet Noah and his wife Babette for the first time, and I had to bring the news to him that I had lost a presentation. I was so nervous. I was so embarrassed that I did that. They said there's an echo. But anyway, I was okay. I'm echoing, so I dropped it. So anyway, I told him, but he gracefully gave me another one anyway. So that was cool. So let me ask one question. Then I gotta mute myself here. So how does what you're doing differ than like the whole law of attraction sort of a thing?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. I get that question a lot, Bob, and it's a very legitimate question because, of course, so many people, because of movies like The Secret, are studying the law of attraction. You see it online a lot, and it's it's kind of like a movement or whatever. I mean, primarily because of that movie, which they did great marketing on that movie. And so the point about what many teachers or people out there are saying, or teaching in the law of attraction, and really what they told us in The Secret was, well, if you sit around and think about money, then money will just come to you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure what planet that works on, but it's not the planet Earth, right? I mean, wouldn't it be great if it worked that way? Wouldn't it be great if that was reality, right? If we just sit around, think about money, and money just pours in from the ceiling. I mean, it's exactly like the guy who wants six-pack abs, who sits on the couch eating ice cream and never getting exercise, and hopes that I'm going to get six-pack abs from, taking a pill or something. I mean, it doesn't exist on this planet. Now, if we find that planet where you sit around, don't do nothing and make money, I'll move to that planet right now, but it ain't the planet Earth. So the point is, what we teach on our campus at successclinic.com, that's the company that I founded in my college dorm room many years ago. So on our campus, what we talk about is the law of sowing and reaping. All right, as you sow, so shall you reap. Now, of course, this is nothing new. I didn't invent this. Nobody invented it. It's been taught for centuries. The point is, we have to look at what are you sowing. Well, what we're sowing is we're sowing seeds of thought, but what are most people doing? Well, they're sowing lousy thought seeds. Why am I so broke? Why am I so fat? How come I can't do anything right? Why don't I get the good breaks? Excuse me. How come nobody likes me? How come I'm lonely? Why is there a month left at the end of the money? Excuse me, I gotta take a drink of water here because okay, so if you sow lousy thought seeds, you're going to get lousy results. So what we talk about on our campus is the law of sowing and reaping, and affirmations is one of the tools that, techniques, technologies that we use to help people to sow better thought seeds. Okay, so let me give you an example. We had one woman who came to us, and she had been smoking for over 20 years. And she really, really wanted to quit, but she had tried everything, the patch, hypnosis and nicotine gum, and just everything, and she just couldn't quit. Well, what happened was she heard about affirmations, she got one of my books, and she just put on her refrigerator, why is it so easy for me to quit smoking? And do you know, Bob, within less than 30 days, she had quit smoking, just like that. And she reported later, she said, I couldn't believe how easy it was. And isn't that funny? Because she had been sowing the seeds that I can't quit, and then once she started sowing seeds, even if she didn't necessarily believe it, see, that's one of the great, amazing things about affirmations. You don't even really have to believe it when you start. And in fact, what I often tell people is, of course, you're not going to believe it when you start, right? If you have been saying for years or decades, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm not good enough, nobody likes me, I don't have any money, or whatever these lousy thought seeds are that you're planting, well, it's obvious that, this isn't magic. This is science. And what I also tell my clients is that you're already using affirmations anyway. Every human being walking this earth is right now using affirmations. Of course, they're not consciously aware of it. So what they're doing is they're using disempowering questions. They're unconsciously asking disempowering questions like the examples that I've been giving. Why am I so broke? Why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I make more money, right? These are disempowering questions. And whether you're asking them consciously or not, it doesn't matter. That is the law of sowing and reaping, right? That's why it's a really perfect illustration, right? Because when you plant seeds in the ground, you're going to get the thing that you plant, right? When you plant tomato seeds, you don't get an apple tree, right? But that's what so many people are trying to do. They're planting tomato seeds or seeds that say, well, I'm not good enough, and then they're hoping that wealth and abundance are going to come from that. It can't happen, and it's not going to happen. So that's why with affirmations, it's a really amazing tool to plant the right seeds that you want and then reap the benefits once you are following the formula.
Hey, Len, would you like to ask any questions? I think I get too much of an echo if I say anything.
Well, I don't know. I think we have to go back and forth in muting, but once in a while we have to mute whoever's not talking. But yeah, I'm actually gonna, if it's all right with you, I'm gonna actually come back to the question I asked this morning because I think it's really a great one, and that is, I've got Code of Success again, and we talked a little bit this morning about the permission pyramid, and I think looking at who's on tonight, there are a lot of people on here that weren't there this morning, so I think that's a good question. But before I go there, I want to echo one thing. I mean, I love what you say about not being able to just manifest things out of thin air. My favorite example is I'm sitting on my deck and looking at the ocean, and I want a new RV. So, if I sit on my deck long enough and envision the new RV, someone's going to drive a new RV onto my deck, right?
No.
So, and I use that example a lot in some of the things that I do, and I think it's a very powerful point. You have to get into action, and we have to ask the right questions. So I love open speech. But let's look at that permission pyramid. How do we go from the bottom of the pyramid to the top? Because affirmation is really the base of the pyramid. I'll be quiet now.
No, that's right. So what Len is referring to, just for the folks who aren't familiar, Len, I don't know if you could hold that book up again, but that's one of my books. Is called The Secret Code of Success, and that was published by HarperCollins. Thank you. And so what that book does, remember I was just saying earlier a moment ago that I had those two epiphanies in 1997, affirmations and permission to succeed. So that teaching of why people hold themselves back from the level of success they're capable of, that started as permission to succeed, then it became the Secret Code of Success, and now we teach a program called Power Habits Academy, all right, where I walk you through this entire program of how to actually give yourself permission to succeed. So what we call that on our campus is about mastering your inner game and mastering your outer game, all right? The inner game are the things that you can't see directly. They happen inside your head, right? They're your beliefs, your thoughts, your decisions, the words you say to yourself, and that's your inner game. So affirmations, excuse me, affirmations are the best tool, the most effective and powerful and yet simple tool that I've ever seen to change your subconscious thought patterns, even while you're not paying attention, which is so amazing. Because as Bob mentioned a moment ago, we do have lots of different tools. One of them is called iAfform audios, where you can actually listen to your affirmations throughout the day when you're not even paying attention. That's what Bob was referring to. So people can actually learn more about that also at our website, noahstjohn.com. But so with the permission pyramid, that's what we teach in Power Habits Academy, is all the steps that you have to do to give yourself permission to succeed. Just to give a kind of also a larger picture or example of this, as I was learning and studying all these different modalities in self-help and personal growth, what I came to realize finally was that these were all being taught by people who are what I call the naturals of success. That means people who were not holding themselves back. And so what I realized is that that's why there were so many missing pieces. to what they were teaching. And that's why so many people have gone to all of these programs and they're still stuck. They're still not making more money. Just to give you a quick example of this, we had one woman named Susan from California who had gone to every program out there. She'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on all the big name gurus, all the names that you're familiar with. She had literally spent over $60,000, and she was $60,000 in debt. She was about to lose her home, her marriage. She was ducking calls from creditors when she heard about me. A friend actually told her about me and said, you need to listen to this guy because he's got the answer to your problem. And so what happened was Susan was very skeptical, and it's like, oh, I've heard this before, but something just clicked inside of her, kind of like that Ohio story I told a moment ago, just some gut instinct, and said, I think this is different. I think this is not the same thing that everybody else is saying. And sure enough, when Susan took our Power Habits Academy course, which is an online course, so she just went through the modules, things started to change, and it was slow at first, but then it started to accelerate, and she started to get job offers and positions that she would just never have been open to before. Long story short, within that first year, she went from $60,000 in debt to a six-figure income. She's now a television producer. She's been nominated for an Emmy twice, and she's also just published her first book. So her life completely changed around, and that was after going to all of those other big names and being totally stuck and about to lose everything. Once she gave herself permission to succeed by following the Power Habits formula, her life changed for good.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So where do people go to find this? www.powerhabitacademy.com?
It's actually trypowerhabits.com. I'll type it in here. Trypowerhabits.com, like give it a try, T-R-Y. So trypowerhabits.com. And you can actually learn more about it there. If you'd like to actually download my ebook that Bob was mentioning at the beginning of the program, I have a new ebook out called Get Your Foot Off the Brake, and it kind of gives you a real nice overview of my system about, again, why people are holding themselves back. That's available at noahstjohn.com. That's for free. Tribe is our, as I mentioned, our program. It's kind of like our flagship program. We've had thousands of people go through it from all around the world. Just if you want to learn more about affirmations, I don't mean to give all these different ones, but for folks who are interested, you can also go to havingabundance.com and learn more about my affirmation system. Mm-hmm. So those are some resources for all of you.
Cool. That's awesome.
Are all these listed on noahstjohn.com as well?
Yes, and I have so many products that sometimes people get a little like, where do I start? So we really do recommend that you start, with my free ebook, noahstjohn.com, and then, if you want to check out affirmations, which is the first, the first bottom rung of the pyramid, as Len was just mentioning, that's havingabundance.com. And then if you want the whole enchilada, if you want to get the whole big everything, that's Try Power Habits. So it kind of does flow really easily, but yes, and everything is available, at our main website, noahstjohn.com.
Craig has a question here. How many times a day would you recommend somebody do affirmations?
Oh, sure. By the way, Rick is asking, I'm sorry, I've got a little frog there. Can you guys put the websites in the group? Because I just typed them in, but I thought everybody was seeing them, but I guess maybe that's not the case.
We will.
How do I do that?
We'll do it. No, we'll take care of that.
Okay. Anyway, I'm trying to do two things at once. So,
we'll take care
anyways, so yeah. So how many times a day should people use them? Well, I get that question a lot too. It's a great question, and my answer to folks is that your subconscious mind is essentially infinite, which means, so think about, let's think about it this way. Think about how many negative thoughts you've had about yourself in your lifetime, right? How many times have you thought something negative about yourself, right? 10 million gajillion? I mean, we couldn't even count that high, probably, for most of us, right? Oh, I'm too old, I made too many mistakes, I'm a screw up, I'm not good enough, whatever. I mean, we have just constant negative thoughts, most of us do. So my point is that when you think about that number, it's so astronomically high, right? So my point is, you really can't overwhelm your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind, scientists have shown, neuroscientists studying the brain are saying that the subconscious mind is essentially infinite. That means we don't know how many thoughts you can hold in there. Now, the conscious mind can hold about maybe 5 to 7 thoughts at any given time. Now, for men, it's probably a little less. I think women can hold a few more thoughts in their head than men, generally. Men have enough of a hard time with the clicker, right? So, you get my point. So the conscious mind can only hold a few, thoughts or questions or statements at any given time. The subconscious, however, is infinite. So when we're looking at affirmations, when you're using affirmations, particularly in the way that I teach you in my books or my courses, you're dealing with the subconscious mind. Now, you're getting there through the conscious mind, but once it starts to get inside of you, like, those stories that I was sharing with you about the woman who quit smoking, we've had people who, I shared earlier, on the morning program, that we had a couple, a man wrote to me from Germany named Mycle. He and his wife were just about to get a divorce. In fact, they had the divorce papers on the desk ready to be signed. I mean, you can't get any closer to getting a divorce than there's the papers, sign them. And somehow, at the very last second, he got a hold of my affirmations program. He started listening to my iAfform audios and studying the program. He shared it with his wife. It totally changed their lives. They tore up the divorce papers. They're madly in love again, he says to me. And he says, now we're like honeymooners again. We're madly in love. We do your affirmations every day. We say them to each other, and they've just never been happier. So, I mean, literally life-changing stories like that. So my point is, again, you really can't overdo this. And even if you could overdo it, wouldn't it be great to overdo it with positivity, with empowerment instead of disempowerment? So that's another reason we do recommend that you use iAfform audios, which are pre-recorded, done-for-you affirmations recordings set to inspiring and empowering music. So you can learn more about those also at our website, noahstjohn.com or iafform.com, IAFFORM.com, and those are the recordings that Bob was referring to earlier. But you really, really can't overwhelm your subconscious brain. It's kind of impossible. But even if you could, why not overwhelm it with good?
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
No, do you have anything like this that you could use when you're going to sleep, like the iAfforms? Can you use those when you go to sleep?
Oh, absolutely. We do also have a program called Affirmware, which is where people can record their own affirmations, audios, and choose their own music. So we have the two tools there that are available. iAfform audios are done for you, and Affirmware is where you do it yourself. You pre-record them, and then you can just download. These are all online. I mean, these are so easy. My mother can use them, and I mean, she just got on email. So my point is that they're very, very simple to use, and I do have a lot of my clients who report to me that they do enjoy sleeping with their affirmation, listening to their iAfform audios, which are recorded with my voice in them, or with using Affirmware, using their own voice. So we have a lot of folks who tell me that all the time. And so really it's a personal preference. If you like, let's say you like white noise in the background or ocean music or, ocean sounds, that's awesome too. And what's awesome about the iAfform audios or the Affirmware is you can set them, and you can, like, for example, I have 3 computers here on my desk right now. One of them is going with iAfform audios all the time, so I can literally be talking to you guys and listening to my iAfform audios at the same time. I don't even have to really hear what they're saying to allow them to penetrate my subconscious mind. That's why we use the audio format rather than the visual format, because, well, with video, it's kind of hard to like watch a video and do your email at the same time. I mean, you can't really do it. It's also not a good idea to watch a video while you're driving. Not a good idea. So that's why we use these. The auditory mechanism is it's always there, and you don't even really have to hear it in terms of, oh, what did he say? You can literally be just having it just barely audible, and it's still penetrating your subconscious thought patterns and making a difference in your life.
Cool. You're just keeping the weeds from coming in, basically.
Exactly. You want to keep that goodness, keep feeding it to yourself, and it really can make a big difference.
Yeah, I had an MP3 player a while back when I first got that program several years ago, and I would listen to it all the time. When I would go for my walks and things like that, I would listen to that all the time. It was really
Absolutely, and like, you know, you can put on your phone, of course, which most people are doing nowadays, and absolutely, it's just that's why we did it, because we know people are busy, Bob and Len, and we know that, you know, most of us don't have like an hour to sit there and stare at our navel. You know, I mean, we're busy. You know, let's face it, we've got a lot of things going on. You got to-do lists, you got kids and soccer games and all this stuff. So we designed it on purpose for the busy person on the go, right? So like I was just saying, you can literally be changing your brain while you're busy doing other things. You can literally be changing your life while you're not even paying attention. Right? You can even watch TV and do this. You can be checking your email. You can be writing. You can be exercising. A lot of people do it, you know, on the treadmill or while they're in yoga class or Pilates, and they have their, you know, they have their earbuds plugged in and they're listening to these empowering affirmations set to inspiring music. And by the way, the reason we use music is music acts as the excipient in the brain, right? Just as an example of that. I'm sure probably many of us have heard about Alzheimer's patients who can't remember their own children's names, and yet they can remember songs from their childhood. Now, why is that? Well, because of how the brain is wired. The brain is wired, for some reason, to just accept music. Music is just an ancient part of the brain. You know, if you don't believe me, how did you learn your ABCs? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? It was a song, right? I mean, that's how we learn things when we're little kids. So what's incredible is that that's why we wanted to make sure that people were really getting this, and it was being accepted in their brain. That's why we set it to music. As I mentioned, you know, with iAffirmaudios, they're done for you, and I selected the music, and, you know, a lot of people enjoy it, and it's in my voice, and it's, you know, very calming and soothing, or inspiring and motivating, depending on which one you're listening to. For example, we have, you know, how to ultimate relationship success and ultimate wealth. We have finding your life purpose, sleeping better, you know, all different areas of life. And, you know, we did that because that's what people were asking us for. But of course, you can also do your own. You can record your own voice using a firmware, set it to music. So again, that's a firmware which is available at our website, and iAffirm is also available at our website. So all these tools are available for folks, and it really, really works. So you know, music is just a really, really powerful way to get your brain to accept these new empowering questions.
That's brilliant. Well, I'm sorry, were you going to ask a question, Len?
No, I was going to say, no, that's okay. Go ahead, Bob. I had nothing important to say. It's just
yeah, what I was going to ask, excuse me, was in your Success Academy, you also teach people about the outer game. You didn't talk much about that tonight. That's about how to get capture pages and all that kind of stuff. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. And so what we've found in my, you know, almost 20 years now of working with people around the world, over 120 countries now, and literally thousands of men and women, children, small business owners, athletes, CEOs, massage therapists, stay-at-home moms, I mean, just people all from all walks of life. What we found is that success is really 90% inner game. I mean, it just is. It's, you know, if you know, of course, we've all heard of the 80-20 rule. So pretty much 80% is inner game. What you say to yourself, what you believe about yourself, and what's possible for you. And very simply, if you don't believe it's possible, then you won't do it. It's just that simple. Then about 20% of success is the outer game. And the outer game deals with things like web pages and marketing and your habits and all the blocking and tackling that you have to do as a business owner. Now, what's so funny is when you study other programs, let's say for those of you who are, you know, own your own business or want to own your own business, you know, maybe you've taken different marketing classes before and they teach you about sales pages and all this stuff, and they're all very good, nothing wrong with them. The point is that there's a missing piece, and that missing piece for all of those programs is the inner game. Right? They're not talking about how to believe in yourself. They just basically assume you're fine. Well, most people aren't fine. Most people, in fact, don't believe in themselves. And so that's where we come in with the Power Habit System. Now, because so many of our clients asked us to do this, we said, well, we also better, you know, because I've been running a 7-figure business now for the last 7 years. And so I'm like, well, a lot of people are asking me about outer game stuff. So we started to develop this program. Now, so in fact, we're going to be releasing this program in the next few weeks called the Six-Figure Business Machine. And so what we've designed here for my company is a machine. It literally is a machine that works in the background when you're not. So I'll give you an example of that. We had one woman come to our live event. Actually, it was a couple, and she's a chiropractor. And she kind of dragged her husband along. You know, he didn't want to come, very skeptical. By the end of the 3-day event, which we have twice a year, he was so excited, and he was totally on board. And he couldn't wait to sign up. And so my point is that she didn't really understand, well, how is this going to help me build my business? She says, well, I'm just going to get more clients in my practice. And I said to her, Stacy, you do realize that if you do that, all you're doing is making yourself busier, and you have to hit a ceiling because there's only one you and you only have 2 hands. She said, gee, I never thought of that before. So she joined what we call our Dream Mastermind, which is my highest level of working with people. I mean, one-on-one. I work with them for a year on everything, ripping apart their business and building it back up together. Also their inner game, wherever they feel stuck. So really it's about getting unstuck and automating their business. So I gave her the tools of this machine. She came to me. Her website was really very bad. She had a very small list. Right now, it's about a year later, she's got 6 different online products from none. She had 0, and she didn't know anything about websites. She's now got an awesome website. She's getting traffic. She's got 6 different programs. She's done 3 live events now. So all of these things that are just completely on autopilot. So that's why we call it the Six-Figure Business Machine. So we'll be releasing that in just the next few weeks. So for when folks get on our list, you'll be hearing more about that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about it. Awesome. Yeah.
Hey, no, Ellen has a question. Are any of the audios, do any of them deal with health at all?
Yes, absolutely. We have one called Ultimate Health, and that is like, for example, whether you want to lose weight or just improve your body image. A lot of women clients in particular, because women have been told a lot of really bad stuff about, that their worth is dependent on their bodies. I mean, that's been going on for centuries. That's nothing new. But a lot of women really internalize that, and they really believe that my worth is dependent on my body. And so if they have, weight issues or body or, self-image issues, that really is very deeply entrenched. And so that's one of the things that the iAfform audios can help with. And of course, working with the other programs, Power Habits and Affirmation System, all of those, depending on how far you want to go. But yes, we definitely have, and we've had a lot of people. I had one woman named Cecilia from Pennsylvania. She was told she was obese since she was a child. She was told that she would never, be healthy. I mean, just really bad messages that people told her, even doctors and so-called experts. So she came to us. She was morbidly obese, and she said she tried everything out there. She could not lose the weight. She took my program, got Power Habits and Affirmations. She lost 179 pounds and has kept it off for the last 4 years. So prior to that, she had been on the yo-yo diet. She maybe would lose like 10 or 20 pounds, but she'd immediately gain it back and more. So if any of folks, or if you know anybody who's on that yo-yo diet looking for something better, this can really help. It's made a big difference for a lot of people.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. This has been just fantastic. Len, is there anything more that you would like to add?
No, I think we're there. Do you have? I don't want to ambush you. There is one of your links is broken that you told us to go to. Craig mentioned it, and I had the same experience.
Which one's that?
You know what? Do you have just the support email, and I'll just...
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, just support@successclinic.com. So successclinic.com, that's the name of my company. But yeah, please let us know, and if there's any broken links, sorry about that. Maybe I might have spelled something wrong, but yeah, all those links should be working. And again, the main one, noahstjohn.com. You can just click on products. There's just a button there, or a link called products, and you can see, they're all there. They're just all there, and you can get there from the main site if you like.
It's one of the follow-up emails, and there's a link in it, and it goes to there. I
got it. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I always want to catch those.
Yeah, I have the same problem all the time. Links move. So this is really
I appreciate it. No, please send that. Thank you very much.
So let me just say these websites here real quick. We're havingabundance.com, noahstjohn.com, trypowerhabits.com. Those are the three that, and the main one is noahstjohn.com.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And I wrote them all down, and I'll put them up there tonight, Bob.
Okay.
Unless,
Great. Wonderful.
you're
Thanks, Bob.
having an issue right now with Facebook. So.
Well, thank you so much, Noah, twice today for being here. This was so valuable. I think everybody got a ton of value from this here today.
Yeah,
It will be out there. That's why I wanted to say those websites once again. So it'll be out there. Lots of people will be seeing this thing. But you are such an amazingly good friend. You and your wife, you wonderful Beth. Thank her for both of us, for Lynn and I, and all of our guests here today. Thank you for being here today. And is there any closing statements you want to make at all?
Yes, there is. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here. I've really enjoyed it, and you know, I hope everybody you know, connects with us. We'd love to welcome you to the Success Clinic family, and you know, become an afformer. You know, so join the affirmations revolution. And just want to make sure that everybody gives yourself permission to succeed. So no matter what you do, make sure you give yourself permission to succeed. And you know, again, make sure you join. Just tell me that you heard us here on the show, and we'll be sure to welcome you to the family.
I love it. Thank you so much, so much, Noah. You can find Len Mooney at lenmooney.com. Find me at bobmillersuccess.com. Have yourself a great night. Thanks again, Noah, and everybody else. Thank you for coming here tonight. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
All right. Good night, everybody. Cool.